Coming up on Mobile Learning in the Classroom, Google Classrooms. Hi, I'm Zoe Falls, and today on Mobile Learning in the Classroom, we're going to look at Google Classrooms. So a couple weeks ago, we talked about Classcraft and how you could gamify your learning management system and that it was compatible with Google Classrooms. So that got me thinking, what can you do in Google Classrooms? So I've also recently used Canvas instead of Blackboard, and so I've kind of had this personal idea of how many LMSs can I look at and figure out which ones do what. And so today I'm going to show you what I've learned so far about Google Classroom. It looks very similar to Google+. So if you use Google+, which I have some colleagues that do, and they use it in lieu of a blog, they do it where their students can go in and just show quick snippets of what they're learning that's relevant to the course content. They can take pictures of in-class projects that they do and share it up there. Links to Pinterest boards, just some really interesting stuff going in, and it ends up looking like a blog. So you have this running stream of information, and that's what Google Classroom looks like. So when you go to Google Classroom, to me it just reminds me of a blog. And you have a large banner picture which you can customize, so you can pick something that's your content. You can take a picture of your classroom, and you can change it throughout the semester. So if you wanted to do something seasonal, especially if you're working with younger kids, sometimes changing that up a little bit can be kind of fun. Or set up a poll where the students get to pick their background. So as you go through, there are three main sections of Google Classroom. So there's the stream, there's the student portal, and then there's about. So we're going to go ahead and start at about. This is where you set up the information about your classroom. So you can give it the name of the topic. You can put algebra third period, or for me I would put TAC 259 because that's the course I teach most often. And you can tell students where the classroom is located. And because it's Google, you get a Google Drive folder where you can put all of your different content, and then also Google Calendar. So it's fully integrated with the Google products most people are at least vaguely familiar with, and you can then add class material. So if you wanted to upload your syllabus, if you had readings, if you had assignment sheets that you wanted to sort of like preload in there, this would be where you could put it. And you can invite multiple teachers. So if you co-teach, if you have a student teacher that you want to have be part of this collaboration with you, you can do that in this section. Under the student portal, this is where you invite students to your course. So there are a couple different ways you can invite them: by email from your contacts, or you can send them this code. And for those of you that have used apps before, things like Kahoot or Socrative, where there's a code, class code, a lot of students are going to be familiar with a class code. So you can tell them, hey, you're going to get an email from me that's got a class code, go ahead and do that, and they can join in. And you can modify how your students interact. So if you have older students or even younger students and you want them to have some versatility in the classroom, you can say that students can post and comment. So you're getting that dialogue going on. You can have it so that students can only comment, or you can maintain that control and say, only me as the teacher, only I want to be able to post and comment. And you can modify this for each class. So if you have one class where you want them to be able to post and comment, and one class where you don't, each class can be different. So you can really modify it for your specific learners. So stream. Stream is where you're going to have most of your content and most of your interaction. So again, if you've worked with Google products before, there's this handy dandy little plus symbol. And if you go down to your plus symbol, you can add content to your course. So if you just hover over it, it'll say you can reuse a post, you can create a question, you can create an assignment, or you can create an announcement. So let's say you have a student, if you have the option where your students can post things, you can sort of reblog, you can repost. Doing a question, I did a sample question up here, and it's based on a reading. So I can attach the reading, and I modified a quote from the reading, and then I had their question be respond to the above. So this kind of simulates a discussion board post, and they add their comments in there. And then there's also a video discussion. So this video discussion, I added a link to an external source. So we'll go ahead through and I'll do one real quick. So create an assignment. And again, most of this looks fairly familiar, and Google recently added this topic because sometimes the stream can get really cumbersome because it just runs the whole semester. So you can add topics that I like to think function as hashtags, and your students are probably going to be familiar with that term, so they can go and search through by the hashtag for topics. So if you had something that was readings, or if you had something that was multiplication, or U.S. history pre-Abraham Lincoln, you can have whatever sort of topic you want. You can assign a due date, and then you can attach a file, go direct from Google Drive, YouTube, or you can insert a link. So if you have outside sources that aren't necessarily Google, you can still link it to them. You can give it a title, and then you can give it instructions, a due date, and a due time. So if this is something that you want them to do at home, they can do it there. And then you can also, so if we put this as test assignment, so if you really want to get ahead of things, you can schedule it. So you can set up all of your assignments beforehand and then say schedule, and they'll deploy on that date. If you don't preset a date, it'll deploy automatically. So if we create a question, so this you can also set it up so that students can reply to each other. That's that discussion board feature. Or you can turn that off and they don't get to respond to each other, they just respond to you. And you can set it so that students can edit their answer or not. And you can do short answer or multiple choice. So again, you have some versatility with the types of questions and responses you want from your students. And then the last one is create an announcement. And again, this could be something like, well, this week I told my students, hey, we're meeting in a different room. So I sent out an announcement that way. Or something like, hey, remember parent-teacher conferences are coming up. Or remember tomorrow everyone's going to wear blue. You know, whatever your announcement might be. One of the other things that you can do that's really nice for a lot of teachers is you can invite parents to your classroom. And you do that in the student section. There's an option where it says add guardian, and that's where you can have parents be part of your classroom as well, and they can be a part of and know what's really going on, access content, see the announcements, so you don't have to worry about, did the students go home and tell their parents that really important thing I told them to tell? Well, now your parents can just be in there and see it for themselves. So if you run into issues as you're going through Google Classroom, and I've used this button a lot in the last couple of days as I've started to get myself familiar with Google Classroom, there's this little help. You can ask a question, it'll show you what's new, and you can send feedback. So if there's a feature that you would like to see that isn't in there, that's where I would, send the feedback, be like, I would like to see this. And then the what's new is really nice because it shows you updates that they've made. And it shows that they are taking that feedback that teachers give them and adding things in there, like topics. Topics got added because teachers were like, okay, it's really hard to find stuff in the stream. So that's Google Classroom, and I'm really excited to see how it works with my students and with Classcraft. So I'm Zoe, and this has been Tech Edge, and thanks.